This is Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement with Mark Cordner, the podcast.
I found a list highlighting smaller places. I'm talking like Asheville, North Carolina, even Midland, Michigan, where retirement dollars are supposedly going further based on affordability, of course, healthcare, and even lifestyle. But the problem is the list doesn't know your life. So when someone sees something like this and they think, oh my gosh, let's just pick up and move. Asheville sounds great. How do you actually pressure test that decision so that they're just not chasing lower cost?
I'd say go try it. Go live there for a little bit. Go spend 2 weeks, preferably 4 weeks or 2 months there, and practice retirement before you actually move there. We have a lot of people who are talking about moving internationally or moving to, more rural states, for example. And I think it really boils down to health care and quality of life being two big things, because it's not just the obvious cost of groceries, but there's state and local taxes that have to be considered. There's access to health care is really, really a big thing as we age. We need to be able to have support services, and it's not just a hospital close by, but it's also care facilities, home care services, for example. There's a number of things like that. I would say the quality of life issue goes to our support systems. Are we close to our children and grandchildren? Do we have maybe a church community or somewhere where we can interact with people socially? There's all these issues that have to be checked out. These lists are becoming more and more common, but I would say go try it out. Don't just talk about it. Don't just uproot and go there. We've seen a lot of people do that, and then before you know it, they come back. I literally had some clients do that just this last year where they moved back to Vegas. They had gone to a smaller town and just found it wasn't a good fit for them. I've talked to that with family members. I personally need to be near a university. I need to be near some good libraries. I need to be near theaters and things that I enjoy. I wouldn't do as well out in the sticks, even though it may be cheaper there. So everyone's got to find the fit for them. But I would say before you uproot completely, go try it out. Make sure it's everything that you hope it to be.
Yeah, I mean, and you're exactly right. Everything you hope it to be around, do you like it? Do you fit in? And then what are those other costs? You mentioned healthcare and all that kind of stuff. It's important to look at the big picture, not just, it might be easier, simple living with lower costs, right? You got to look at the big picture there. Taxes are an issue as well. Again, these are conversations and these are details you'll go over with Mark one-on-one. So if that might be something you're thinking about is, hey, I'm going to retire and then we're thinking about relocating, but I want to make sure I'm checking all the boxes before I just up and leave with the U-Haul. And that phone number is 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. That website, mygoldenyearsroadmap.com. You were talking about the cost of health care and making sure that health care access is available no matter where you are. Speaking of health care here, you probably heard that Bruce Willis, a few years ago, he was diagnosed with dementia. Super, super sad. His wife, Emma, had been caring for him. Recently, the family came and said, look, we're concerned about you. This is too much. We got to find somewhere for him to go. He is now in a memory care facility. Obviously, being Bruce Willis, cost is probably not an issue when it comes to preparing for health care. And some folks, normal folks, we might be looking at the cost of long-term care and say, there's no way I can afford this. What am I supposed to do? And how do I take care of my family with such a high cost?
Well, it's a big deal because across most of the country, the costs are averaging $80,000 to $100,000 per year per spouse. And so absolutely that can devastate financially middle-income Americans. And so this is the number one risk, the time bomb that blows up people's retirement plans. And it's something that I've been actively involved in for more than 20 years, really, really strongly talking about long-term care preparations, partly because I've lived it. For 40 years, I've seen this in my close family and in my immediate family with my wife and children. And so it's something I feel very passionately about. Less than 3% of Americans have actually done any kind of financial planning for this, which means by default, 97% of Americans are saying we're willing to pay whatever the cost may be. And I'm here to tell you the cost isn't just financial. The financial costs are staggering. The studies are showing about half of the caregivers are now dying before the patient. It's not just financial. We're talking about social, emotional, psychological, and physical costs that are borne by family members. So I had read that, some of Bruce's children from his first wife, Demi Moore, came to this second wife and said, hey, we're concerned about you. And I was so glad to see that in the article I had read. I think it's been in a number of articles, but the bottom line is people are becoming aware that, again, the cost is horrific financially speaking. That's not a problem for the Willises, but what they're showing the rest of the country, that the costs are horrendously difficult for the loved ones. As his wife, she will do anything she can for him. But at a certain point, she has other children. she has other responsibilities, and it can and often does kill the caregiver before the patient because the stress is so significant. I remember watching my father after my mother passed, and he had 3 adult children who were all within 2 miles of him. We all thought we knew what was going on behind closed doors, but we never fully understood what he did in caring for my mother. And it was close to a nervous breakdown after she died because it all just came in on him. We were so glad he survived it. But please, 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 I tell people, deal with this. You've got to plan for long-term care in the future because 3 out of 4 Americans are going to experience this, and it devastates our loved ones more than us. I don't think Bruce Willis is fully aware of what his loved ones are going through right now.
No, not at all.
I'm glad he's happy, but it's the others. It's those loved ones that he doesn't want tortured by his health condition, and most of us feel the same way about our families. So come talk to us, folks. We can absolutely help you put plans in place and put the money in place to be able to fund and really safeguard, protect your loved ones.
Absolutely. I mean, this is all about being proactive and putting that plan together because, planning for retirement, like we always say, it's fuel, right? Money is fuel. And we got to create that income and that cash flow to maintain your lifestyle, the things that you want to do, the things that you have to do, like pay the bills, right? Just because you quit working doesn't mean the bills stop. But also preparing for things like this, preparing for the cost of, obviously, the price of healthcare increasing. And then if you need to be put in a facility or if you need someone to come to the house and help you, these are things that are so expensive. I get it. It's not fun to talk about. It's not fun to think about, but it's really not fun when you get to that point and then you go, I don't have any options. What am I supposed to do? This is a conversation that you have with Mark, and he'll navigate this for you and help you through it. That phone number, 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. Again, that website, mygoldenyearsroadmap.com. It's estimated that over the next 20 years, $90 trillion will be passed down from older generations. Bill Perkins, he wrote the book Die with Zero, says that what's being transferred isn't just money, it's trillions of dollars in unlived experiences. He says that fear of running out of money has people hoarding wealth at the expense of living their best lives. He sums it up by saying, why do you want to be the richest person in the graveyard? Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, your kids aren't going to have any problem spending that money. And so it's interesting. We find ourselves in a position as advisors, I do very frequently, of trying to encourage my clients to live up to their privileges. That's the phrase we use here in our offices. You've got the capacity to be making more memories now while you're alive with the grandchildren. You give the money away while you're here to see how it's being spent. And so often to give them the peace of mind they need, we have to build structured income plans. And this is one of the wonderful ways that annuities fit so nicely into retirement plans is because annuities contractually guarantee income that you can't outlive. And sometimes we set up a spending plan. Like I did this recently for a woman where she knew she was going to have a hard time spending and actually going out and doing the travel stuff that we had talked about. And so what we did was we set up income contract that would guarantee her, in her case, it was like $20,000 a year that would come in. And she knew it was going to come in, and we'll know this for the rest of her life. Every year that money's coming in, regardless what she does. She'll never run out of that income. And that income will, because it's coming each and every year, and she knew it was going to come in, and that then allows her to think more freely about other monies. And so we believe in my office that every dollar has a purpose. We're not like most financial planners who are simply trying to get you the greatest rate of return on this big pool of money, as it were. We're actually earmarking, segmenting that pie, as it were. A portion of your money needs to be earmarked for health care. A portion needs to be earmarked for just your basic living expenses. A portion needs to be earmarked for the fun, for the memory making that needs to happen. And then a portion that's left over is to offset future inflation and create a legacy for others. But if we don't have structure like that, people usually deprive themselves. And like that author says, they go to the graveyard with all these unlived experiences that others will live for them. The kids will go to the country club you never went to. They'll have the boat you never let yourself have, or the motorhome, or whatever it was. So let's help you live up to your privileges. Come visit with us. We can show you how to do that.
I love that. Yeah, you talk about every dollar has a purpose and creating that kind of segmenting that money pie, if you will. Think about it like a pizza. Slice it up and dice it, and you need to allocate and find purpose for each of that as well. And the structured income plan is really important as well, giving you that guaranteed income. If you want more information about these guaranteed income options, call right now, 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. You know, a six-figure salary used to mean that you've made it, but that benchmark is starting to feel a little outdated. A new report from Money Lion found that in 12 high-cost states, California, New Jersey, Massachusetts, to name a few, $100,000 income is now considered lower middle class. You don't even get upper middle these days. You got the lower middle class at six figures. That's insane. You can blame that, of course, on the rising cost of living. So if 100 grand doesn't go as far as it used to in your working years, let's think about what that means when the paycheck stops here, Mark. What are the biggest mistakes that people make when they underestimate how much income they're going to need in retirement?
Oh, this is common. There's all sorts of garbage out there on the internet about how people are only going to need 70 to 80% of their working year's income when they go into retirement. And my experience is that's simply not true. Most people who go into those early, what we call the go-go years, that first decade of retirement in good health, they're spending money. It's called the retirement smile. They start spending a lot of money, and then over the next decade it starts to slow down. And then on the last decades of life, it starts to rise again with healthcare costs. But people often underestimate what their living expenses are going to be, and one of the first exercises we have them do when they visit with us is give us an idea for what your basic living expenses are going to be, and they estimate typically in the $5,000 to $7,000 range. Many people do. Now, in two-income households, two people making $50,000 a year is $100,000 a year. So that goes to your earlier point that $100,000 just isn't what it used to be. And the truth is, many people are living up to their income, and so we sometimes have to revise that up. We'll do a baseline that says, "Hey, you think $7,000 is your survival limit? Let's look at $10,000, and can you spend $10,000 a month, for example, or whatever it is." Everyone's different. Some people need more, some people need less. But bottom line is, we can't go into this blind. We can't just choose a number out of the hat because $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 a month sounds sufficient. Some people come to me and they tell me, well, $2,000 or $3,000 a month is sufficient. And I have to question them on that because it is possible for some people, but for the vast majority of Americans, it's not. So we've got to get this out of the realm of guessing, finger to the wind, and be more precise, because people are jumping out of the workforce earlier than they should at age 62 on average, when most people really should be working to 65, 67, or age 70 based on how much they've saved. So we have to look at their assets differently, we have to look at their spending levels differently, and we have to actually do some math. So I would say to folks, come visit with us. I've visited with thousands of people over the years. We have a perspective that you don't, and most of us don't know what we don't know. We only get one shot at doing retirement right for most people, so let's not leave this to chance and to guesswork. Come visit with us. We'll do a retirement readiness review with you and just see how well prepared are you. It may be that you're able to jump out of the workforce today. It may be that you need to stay in the workforce for a few more years. But don't leave this to chance. It's easier to quit than it is to get re-engaged or re-employed.
Investment advisory services offered through Golden Years Financial LLC, a registered investment advisory firm. Insurance is offered through Golden Years Insurance Services. These firms do not provide legal or tax advice. Consult your own legal and tax advisors before taking actions that may have tax implications. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Insurance contract's principal protection is based on the claim-paying ability of the respective insurer. None of the information contained on this website shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit to buy a security or insurance product. The information and opinions contained on this site or requested from this site are provided by third parties believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. They are provided for informational purposes only and are not a solicitation to buy or sell any of the products mentioned. Any media logos and or trademarks contained herein are the property of their respective owners, and no endorsement by those owners of Mark Cordner, Golden Years Financial, or Golden Years Insurance is stated or implied.